Well, thanks everyone for being on. I want to congratulate our professional development committee for their work on these lunch and learns throughout the month of June. It was a great idea. I hope that lots of our members have benefited by being on these calls. There's been some really good topics, and I'm glad that Katie recorded them so that others who have not been on the call can take a look at them in the future. This is um, Lunch and Learn number 4. Our first one was on LinkedIn, put on by Paul. And then we had a fantastic session on Zoom and Zoom Basics, and everybody can use that right now. And then last week we had one on keyboard shortcut basics that went over very well. And we're ending up now with uh, Microsoft Excel and the basics associated with that. So hopefully you can listen in and get some tidbits from Miss Patricia Casey,
Yeah,
who's been gracious enough to accept the invite to be with us today. And we really appreciate you being with us, Tricia. And with that being said, I'll let you just take it from here.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. It's always nice to help people out when it comes to Excel, since I do use it so frequently. I will share my screen. Sharing my Excel. Can you see my Excel? And is it a good size for you guys? Is it clear? Yeah, okay, good. So I thought we would start out with just some basic Excel functions. A lot of this pertains to some sales data. So I thought first off, we would just take this fictitious table. We're going to call it revenue by state. So I have, the various states around us here and the revenue that we have from each state. And first things we're going to do is we're just going to add it up. We're going to sum it. So there are several different ways that you can insert a function into Excel. The first one is by this function bar right here. It pops up this little helper, because if I start typing sum, go, it's going to bring up the sum function. And then I can hit OK, and it asks me what I want to sum. So this is good for people who are just starting out on Excel, because it kind of gives you an explanation of what values Excel is looking for to help you out. So if I want to say D5, and I'm going to drag down to D12, and you can see in here, it gives me my total right here. So if you hit OK, your total is 43,025,000. So an easier way to do the auto sum is what we call it. Is this is just so you know, this is not Windows 10. If anyone has Windows 10, I don't have the new Windows 10, so it may look a little different. But we have up in the right, we have an auto sum feature, and if you read the little box that comes up, it just says it will automatically add up any values straight above it. So the trick with this one is, you'll see in a sec, I just clicked auto sum, and all I did was Iowa, because there is a space, there is no value in Kentucky. So what we want to do is come in our function bar, and I'm just going to create a formula. I'm going to say, please sum all of these values. And we've got 43 million. And if I want to know of that 43 million, where the 43 million is coming from, how many states does the value come from, I can do a count formula the same as the sum. So I can say, you know, tell Excel to count how many states have revenue, and it's going to tell me 7. So if you'll notice, there are actually 8 states listed, but since Kentucky has no value, it's not going to count Kentucky. It will only count the cells that have a value. So this is helpful if you have, you know, obviously I did these on a smaller scale just for example, but it will be helpful if you have a larger set of data and are wondering how many states you have sales in. So so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna format this 43,000. Let me get rid of the count. Oops. So I accidentally did that. But if you come up here to your top of the screen, I have a little undo button. It'll give me back what I just deleted on accident. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna call this the total. And what we wanna do is we just wanna make it clear that that's a total. So I'm gonna format that cell. So what we're gonna do is you see this little box with the little borders in it. I'm gonna click on that and I'm just gonna choose this guy, top and bottom border. So it looks more defined. It looks like it's a total for your column. So that's a real quick, easy way to do your sums and give you a total and make it look like it's an actual table. The next thing I wanted to show you was sorting. So if I go up to the top and I write state, and then I'll write revenue, just so we know what we're dealing with. I'm gonna select all my states in my revenue, and I'm gonna say, okay, I would like to know what this looks like in alphabetical order of my states for whatever reason. So I'm gonna go up to, I can have 2 things. I can click this AZ, hopefully you can all see where my mouse is. I can click this AZ button, and that's going to automatically sort my data into alphabetical order. So if I click that, you'll notice the numbers and everything moved around into alphabetical order. So now Kentucky with no value is in the middle. I can also look at it the other way. I can look at it from Z to A, 1 click, 1 click, easiest way to do it. The other option is you can click this sort button. Hopefully you can all see this okay. And so up here on the top right, it says my data has headers. So if that is checked, it's not going to include your first row of data of the columns, which is my state and revenue. So as you can see, if I uncheck it, this sort by column changed to C instead of state. That means it's going to, oops, I just hit that. Sorry about that. So you want to make sure your data has header. So it sorts just the data and not the header. So let's say we want to sort by our revenue and by smallest to largest. So who has the least amount of revenue with us? We're going to say sort by revenue. It's sorted on just the values that are in the cell. And then smallest to largest, you also have the option of going from the largest to the least amount of revenue. So we're going to go smallest to largest. I'm going to hit OK. In Kentucky, that's tricky because it shows up at the bottom because there is a no value. If I put a 0 in there, it would show up at the top. But now we have our data sorted by the lowest revenue to the greatest revenue. That is, I mean, that was just a really quick, you know, showing you some and showing you sort. And now I figure we would go to, make this bigger. So we're gonna do sum again. This time I decided to show you the breakdown of revenue and how it impacts your ASP, trying to make it real life scenarios for you guys. So what we're gonna do first, we have sales numbers for each of these customers. We have customer A, B, C, D, and E, and we have their sales tons, and we have the price per sales ton. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, we're gonna multiply these together. So we're gonna put an equal sign in here, and then we're going to select the sales quantity, and then we're going to do times the price. So we get our revenue. So this is already formatted. I should have unformatted it to show you guys how to format it. I'll do that later. So we've got D6 times E6 now. So instead of typing that into each of the other customer lines, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna click on this cell that we already did the formula in. We're gonna put our mouse on that corner. If you can tell, I'm right at the corner of the cell, and we're just gonna bring our mouse down and we're gonna drag the formula down. Another way you can do the formula, again, instead of retyping it in each of the cells, you can highlight the cells that you want the formula in, and then you can do Control D. I'm not sure if you learned this on your keyboard tricks or not, but Control D will take the formula that's in the cell you're copying and apply it to all the other cells. So now if we look at customer C, it's got the same formula, and we're adding up the revenue. So now that we have all of our revenue in and we have all of our sales, what we're going to do is we're going to add it all up. So we're going to look at this total, and I'm going to go up to this auto sum, and I'm just going to click it. It's going to highlight the data that it's going to sum, and I hit enter. That's all, and then it'll total it up. I'm going to do the same thing for revenue. I'm going to take this 160 formula because I want the same formula for the revenue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the formula, copy, and paste. This little guy is paste. Now, but if you'll notice, it doesn't have the dollar sign like the rest of the revenue. So if I want to format it the same, I will, oh, I can't see the top of my, I can just click the dollar sign, and then you'll notice that it's now got number signs. That means it's too large for the cell. So if you guys need to make this the column bigger to fit your data, if you see where my mouse is, I'm right in between column F and G. If you just double click on that, it'll auto fit the column. So now you can see the 1.1 million. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I don't need the zeros. So I'm going to get rid of those zeros. So we go up here to my number formatting and see there's a little decreased decimal icon. I'm going to click that twice and the decimal is gone. Now if I auto fit my column again, I'm going to double click. It shrinks back up to fit it. So now we have our total revenue, we have our total sales tons, but now we need our total price. So we cannot just average these prices because they're different quantities. So what we need to do is we need to take the revenue. So we're going to go type right into our cell, and we're going to say equals revenue divided by sales. And then we have our average ASP of 707. So then again, like previous, if we wanted to format the total column, we could just highlight the columns we want to format. and select our border. And now we have defined total columns. Hopefully that's clear and a-okay for you guys. The next thing I wanted to show you was this data table. So I'm gonna recreate this for you to show you how I did it. I didn't have to highlight all the rows. It's easier than it looks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to highlight this data. I'm gonna copy it and I'm going to paste it down here. And then what I'm gonna do, so if there's a sequential, like the January to December, you don't have to type January to December. You could type January and click on the corner of the cell and drag your data over and it'll autofill the months for you. So you never have to type out all your months in Excel. So we have our customer names, we have our months, and I'm gonna write total over here. And we have this data, you know, you got this data from your software system. This is just how it was exported. So all I'm doing is showing you how to format it like this table, quickly and easily, easier to view than normal downloads from a software system. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of all these decimals and I want to make everything the same. Some have decimals, some don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of the data and I'm going to come up here to my number shortcuts again. I'm going to click on the comma and then I'm going to click on the decimal twice. Now I have all the same formats across my numbers, easy to view. So then what we're going to do is we're going to total each row and we're going to total each column. So we're going to come in this total cell right here and we're going to click on auto sum and it's going to capture the data ahead of it. There's no blank spots, so it captures everything. So I'm just going to hit enter. And then just like in the previous screen, I'm going to grab that corner and drag down. Actually, I'm going to drag down to there. So now I have the total of all the customers' annual sales. We're going to do the same thing for January and we're going to hit the sum. This time I'm going to hit the tab button. And by hitting the tab button and not the enter, I'll go to the February cell that I need the formula in. Okay, so same thing, we're going to take the corner of the cell and we're going to drag it all the way to the end. So now every formula, every month has its formula. So in order to get this table, we're just going to highlight all of our data. And we're going to go to up here in your tabs. You have a data tab. Not the data tab though, is it? No, in table. You guys, I just did this. I have it. Hang on. I can't see. There it is. It's in the home tab. So if you're in your home tab, you have all your data highlighted. There's this shortcut called Format as a Table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and they have all these different options for you of table styles, but I'm just going to pick this one for no reason other than I picked it before. So it's going to ask you, it's going to confirm that your data table is correct and what you have highlighted. It says the check mark, it says my table has headers. So it's going to know that that first row is a header, and I'm going to hit OK. So now I have recreated my table. you have the option of filtering by using this. So you could say, you know, in January, let's not show anybody that doesn't have a value in January. So I'm gonna uncheck that 0 line. I'm gonna hit OK, and then I just A, B, and C were just hidden on my data tables, and now I'm just looking at customers that had sales in January. So if I undo that, the other thing I wanted to show you was you can delete when you format like this table using the table. I can delete customer F, and the table adjusts itself to where it's still, you know, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue. And you don't have to change the lines, because sometimes when you go and you format your own color and then you delete a row, you have to reformat. So that's a quick, easy way to get your table, get your easily identify each row, and the colors don't change. So then what I'll do is I'll just format. I'm gonna, you know, put customer names so I can see them a little better. I'm gonna put them in the center of the row, and I'm just gonna click this little center button, and it's gonna move the data in the cell to the center of the cell. So that's that for my data tab. I did have something else I wanted to show you. So if you wanted to, let's go back to this tab. Oops. So I wanted to show you that you can also transpose your data. Actually, no, we'll stick with this one. So transposing your data just means you're going to go from a horizontal to a vertical. So we could take January to December, and we'll just highlight those. And then if I hit my right mouse button, and I'm going to hit copy, and I'm just going to come here to this cell, and I'm going to right click my mouse, and I'm going to say paste special, because these options don't work for me. So I'm going to say let's paste special, and it brings up this handy box, which I can say, okay, well, I'm going to transpose this data. So it means it's going to switch it from horizontal to vertical. And I didn't change the formatting. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to paste it again. And I'm going to say, I'm going to paste just the value, and I'm going to transpose. So it's not going to take the formatting into account. It's just going to paste the values that are in each cell. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I have my the beginning to create my table using the other axes. So then we can take customer, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say copy, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say paste special. We are going to do the value, and we're going to transpose the data. We're going to hit OK. And then you can you'll be able to recreate the data this same exact way, but different view, you know, by month, customers on the top. That is all I had on my list. One little quick snippet. Sometimes you accidentally hit a button in Excel, and it takes you, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you accidentally hit a button and it takes you all the way to the edge of the worksheet. You know, you're in column XFD now. To get quickly back to the beginning of the worksheet, all you have to do is hit Control Home. I don't know if you learned that shortcut or not, but sometimes it happens because if you're in a data table and I'm highlighting column A1 right now, or cell A1, and I want to get to the bottom of the data, you hit your Control and you hit the down arrow, and you see it just shot me to the total row. So now I'm on the total row. but sometimes it accidentally shoots you to the end of the worksheet that you don't need. So control home is a quick little get back to the beginning. And then if you hit control, if you're in your data and you hit control right arrow, it's going to shoot me to the $5 million number because it's the end of the data table. I think that was all I had as far as, you know, the quick basic Excel, easy to sum, you know, easy way to get your ASP and creating a data table. Was there anything else that anybody had questions on that needed clarification on? Like if anyone knows if formulas or some if formulas, I could get into that. Just wasn't sure how detailed everybody wanted to get.
You know what I was thinking about was some of the shortcut keys that Don mentioned last week.
Yep.
How he said some of them were universal for all Microsoft programs and some of them were not. Isn't there a function where if you have a formula that you've used in one cell, you can F4? Is it F4?
Yeah, so F4 takes the formula or the cell and it duplicates it. So whatever format is in that cell, actually it's not. I do use F4. I don't know why it's not actually working. I'm hitting F4.
So
But
if you
F4,
maybe
it takes the formula.
inserted a line and then hit F4, it'll do it again, right? Or it's just anything that you do, F4 will repeat it?
Yeah, it repeats it. So if I hit delete and then I go here and I hit F4, it deletes it. Yeah, you're right. So it it duplicates what you just did. So if I make this cell, if I make it yellow, I'll go over here and hit F4 and now it's yellow. So the other shortcut keys that work are, you know, Control C for copy. So if I come down here and I'm going to copy March, I just hit Control C instead of using the right click on my mouse. And now I hit Control V and it's going to paste March. And now if I want to keep typing March in the same column, I can hit Control D and it copies March. Control D copies the data from the cell above.
If you highlighted all of those cells and then hit the function key, will that paste them in there? Duplicate all of them at one time, or do you have to do one row at a time?
No, you don't. You can hit Control C. You can go like this, and you can hit Control V, and it'll paste it all in there. Yep.
That's really good.
There's so much Excel can do, and you know, and until you start playing around with it, there's actually, if you are in Excel and you go up to this formula bar, and look in your formulas, there's obviously recently used, but if you're not using formulas, they're not going to show up there. There's so many formulas, like an if formula, a sum if formula. I can say, you know, sum, actually, here, we'll go like this. Put this data in here too. I can say sum if the material is this material, whatever material that may be. And then I'm going to say sum range. So this is basically just going to tell me how many tons I have sold of this one specific material that's highlighted here. That's all that's going to say. But it's really helpful, and there's really a lot of tools and tricks that Excel has that, you know, it's just, unless you're moving around in there, you don't know about. But this is a good start using these shortcuts here. And like I said before, if you click on this function, this fx, it will actually bring up the formula description and it'll help you out. So it says range C4 to C31, and then right here it says it's the range of cells you want evaluated. So I want to look in this range of data and I want to try and find, if you could see my mouse, I want to try and find this number right here. So I'm telling Excel, when you find that number, take the value in column D and add it up for me. And that's what it's doing. So it's adding up all these different 80, 19, 520s. 80, 19, 520s. Did anybody else have any questions? Anything that they were hoping to see and didn't that I could show you? I hope I helped some people. I hope I gave you some tips.
You mentioned that this is Windows 7?
Yeah, yeah.
So it looks totally different in Windows 10?
I think so.
Huh.
I think so. Because I think, you know, I don't know about totally different, but like I don't have it, so I'm not sure. But usually each upgrade looks different. Why do you have Windows 10?
Yeah, we have Windows 10.
So there just might be, you know, some shortcuts that are not in the same spot, but you can always search in Excel. You can ask for help by up here in the top right. You can ask for help and it'll help you search for topics. Oops. Please move this window. I have to move it. I guess you can't do it when you're sharing your screen.
Yeah, some things you can't do. Well, I tell you what, Tricia, that was really good stuff. I'm amazed at all the things I don't know. They probably could write a book on some of the things I don't know, but thanks again for helping out today. This is exactly what the type of stuff that we were hoping that you would cover. It's basic enough for, I mean, everyone uses Excel for a different purpose, right? They use it a different way. And so some of the things that you talked about today can be probably used for everything that we do. And so we very much appreciate you doing this. Let's give Tricia a hand, a virtual hand.
Thanks, Tricia.
Thank you very much. Again, a shout out and congratulations to our professional development committee for the lunch and learns that you've put on during the month of June. They were all good, all beneficial. Again, all the programs have been recorded and they're on the website right now, Katie. Well, this one won't be yet, but the rest of them are. And so they can be viewed at any time. Okay?
Awesome.
Thanks so much for having me. Glad I could help. Anybody can reach out to me if you have any questions. Always willing to help. So just let me know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye. Thanks.
Yes.